Two members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Minority Leader Sylvanus Nwankwo and Peter Abbey, have withdrawn their support for the impeachment move against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy. The lawmakers representing Omoma and Degema constituencies, respectively, announced their decision at a press conference in Port Harcourt on Monday, calling on the Assembly to reconsider its stance. They said their change of position followed appeals from elders and leaders within and outside Rivers State who urged restraint and dialogue. According to them, while impeachment notices had been issued against the governor and his deputy, lawmakers should temper justice with mercy and explore peaceful ways to resolve the political crisis without resorting to removal proceedings. The duo acknowledged that allegations of constitutional infractions had been raised against the governor and his deputy, but insisted the matter could still be amicably settled. ATN recalls that the impeachment notice over alleged gross misconduct was served on Governor Fubara and his deputy last Thursday, heightening tensions in the state's political landscape. I'll start with you on this one, Nze. What do you make of this story?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Starting this with me will give Chizzy some ground to prepare himself for this defense. But because I see a
For
plus
what defense?
For this defense.
Okay.
The defense of the infraction we announced.
You have not even laid back.
He knows
you're
where
coming
I'm
for Chizzy. All right, go ahead.
Where I'm coming from.
You're right.
However, it is a very good development. Good news we had yesterday, in the ongoing political crisis in the state. Last Thursday, we were all shocked to hear the impeachment proceedings that was executed by the River State House of Assembly, ably led by Right Honorable Chike Martin Samuel, which some of us frowned at. But so many people rose to that news, and a lot of critics, a lot of blames, a lot of praises, different people with different reactions. But the question I kept asking myself was, where is this taking us to? Is this fight a one-man fight, or is it a collective fight? We are dealing with River State here. This assembly that is instituting these proceedings, impeachment proceedings, have not asked themselves this one question. We have lasted on this seat for 3 years. What have we done for our people? You were sent there for 3 basic reasons: lawmaking, representation, and oversight functions. Which one have you done for your constituency? But you have engaged yourself fully on battles that has to do with one man. Why am I saying one man? There is an arrowhead to all this crisis. Now you have tried this impeachment for about 2 times, and this is the 3rd one, and you are still not ashamed. You still want to carry on with this. I felt so embarrassed. And I asked myself, if I am in this assembly, where will I pitch my tent at this point? It doesn't matter whatever agreement we had in the past. It doesn't matter whoever is maybe fanning the amber of the fire. I don't care. But at this point, there is need for us to come together and discuss matters. Now, the governor you want to impeach, do you think that everybody will just keep quiet for you to impeach the governor and maybe have your way? The governor is, in fact, on regular basis, winning the attention and the interest and the love of the Rivers people. And you are still gathering yourselves up to fight against the people whose mandate you are standing on in your election as assembly member. So, but I thank God that something happened on Monday when 2 out of the 26, actually they didn't opt out of the impeachment process or proceedings. Rather, they are calling on their colleagues for a restraint. Please, we need to come down. Let us find a better way, because a lot of calls have been coming from well-meaning Rivers people and their political associates, even across the state. Please, you people shouldn't continue with this. You people shouldn't continue with this. And I believe that you can't tell me that you're a public figure and you don't listen to anybody unless somebody tells you, do this, you do. They tell you, do this, you do. But when the people whom you know have what it takes to either protect you or to project you are there, you back out, turn your back on them all. So I think it's a good applause for the governor of the state, because for 3 years, people taunted him that he couldn't win not even one out of the 27 lawmakers. But now you see that for the fact that this sign has appeared in the unity of the lawmakers, it is destruction. Mass destruction. But it is not destruction that takes life, but it's destruction of structure. That is the way I put it.
Okay, Nze. Very well, very interesting submission there. But you, in calling for peace, you took a side by what you have said. And are you aware that when you were lashing out at the lawmakers that for 3 years they have not done anything for their constituents, are you aware that you just indicted the governor yet again by that submission?
Then you come up with your point.
Now, the lawmakers, the governor said, it's on video, it's on record, he said he has de-recognized the Rivers State House of Assembly. The governor in 2024 governed without assembly. The same in 2025, against appeal court judgments and against Supreme Court judgments. The assemblies were having plenaries back to back, and they were passing laws that the governor refused to assent to. And after the window, as given by the Constitution, they passed those bills into law. And most of the laws they passed that time were people-oriented laws. So when you say the assembly, they are not doing anything, the question would be, well, what held the governor back from assenting to laws that the assembly was passing in those years? That'll be the question.
Good.
Now, further concretized by the Supreme Court judgment that says that there was no government in Rivers State, in the sense that there was an executive arm of government, that was judiciary, but the legislature was not recognized by the governor, which was very much akin to military rule. The only difference here was that the governor was not the head of, was not a military man. But in military rule, you have the military, you have the executive, you have the judiciary, but you don't have the legislature. So when you say that the assembly have not done anything, would you honestly say that you're fair in your judgment, considering that the governor in this past years, refused to acknowledge the assembly, refused to work with them, refused to assent to bills that they passed, to sign and assent it into law, refused to submit budgets to them? How then do you say assembly have not been doing their jobs? Who is frustrating the assembly in this instance? Who in the first instance refused to submit list of commissioner nominees to the assembly?
I beg you to...
So make it make sense to me. You have the floor.
Thank you
before
very
I
much.
Bring in Cheesy.
Yes, I beg you to give me some time to express myself on this matter.
Go ahead.
Number one, there was light or mild crisis within the government of Rivers State involving the legislators and the executive arm of government. And why that crisis was ongoing, 27 of the lawmakers decamped, hear me, decamped into APC. And that brought about the emergence of Edison here as the speaker, because power cannot exist in a vacuum. Now, Edison here and 3 other lawmakers who did not defect constituted an assembly. You may say it is legal, but until court says so. But prior to court's declaration, this assembly stood, and the governor was working with them. And this assembly declared the seat of these 27 lawmakers vacant. So, in the eyes of the governor and his operations, and those of us who followed him, the assembly led by Edison here was the authentic assembly. Now, until Edison here resigned and Victor Okojumbo came to power, this crisis continued. So whatever law that was made by the Martin Samuel's led faction of the assembly within this period was not recognized. So, and the governor
not recognized by who?
By the governor.
Oh.
And by us, the people who believe that they decant. Hold on, don't interject. And until this matter, when Okojumbo assumed office as the speaker, the state kept running. But 2024 budget was passed to Edison here, speakership. 2025 budget was passed to Victor Okojumbo. And until Supreme Court came up to say that whatever happened within the period under review was null and void. I told you in your show here that I do not agree with the judgment of Supreme Court, but it is binding on me as a citizen of this country. And since we do not have a higher court, we cannot appeal to God, or we rather appeal to God at this point. You know, I considered that. And I think that should be given to me as a plus. So now, when this matter came to this point, the governor, in his quest for peace, turned back to go and represent this 2025 budget to the assembly members, and they locked him up. There are insults you don't give to a man. Look, this is your office. I can't come to your office and mess you up. Even though I know I'm an executive on my own. And when you come to my office, you don't come there to tell me that you're my host in a what's it called? Open conversation show. You are my host for that. I should sit down. You don't do that.
All right.
So now they locked out Mr. Governor. And while Mr. Governor was doing everything to see that the advice or the judgment of Supreme Court...
They locked out Mr. Governor?
Yes, from the assembly, from assessing them, when he wanted to present the budget to them.
Okay.
So whichever way anybody will look at it. And while the governor was making frantic effort to secure the peace between the legislature and the executive in Rivers State, they commenced impeachment proceeding. That brought us to a point where Mr. President had to declare state of emergency and suspended these people. People like me said that suspension was illegal. State of emergency can be declared, but the suspension was illegal because I felt it wasn't covered by law. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a citizen, a bona fide citizen of Nigeria, and I should be able to know things I should know. So you see how that a Solad was introduced, and he came and he handled us for some months, for 6 months. And when these people came back, as soon as the assembly resumed, they started calling on the governor to come. And you see the manner in which they talk. No sign of respect, no sign of cooperation. They are just basking and shouting and talking as if they are talking to the boy that washes their car in their garage. And that was not acceptable. But however, whichever way it goes, the truth remains that for 3 years, they have not shown working in their respective constituencies.
All right, very well, Nze. I will still pick your brain further on that, but before I engage you on some of your submissions, I want to call Chizzy at this point too. Chizzy, what do you make of this story?
You know, honestly, assuming you had ended it when Nze made the first statement, I would have just said I'm not going to speak on this. Because you see, I don't want to go back to Egypt, honestly. I don't want to go back to Egypt. The Supreme Court is not the best because they are perfect. They are the best because they are the last. So you can't go to anywhere. And so whatever they have ruled is now the law. And then for somebody who's been on that case going back to say somebody did that, you know what the Supreme Court said? We didn't have government. That's what it means. And as they have come down to, you know, and I like that, he's come down to tell us about 3 functions of why we elected our assembly. And I don't know why the assembly didn't catch this into the impeachment process. Because
which is what?
Which is the fact that they are supposed to be representing the people and the governor has said they shouldn't represent the people. They are supposed to be carrying out oversight and the governor has said don't carry out an oversight. They are supposed to be making law and the governor has said we will not pass your laws. That's what it means. A governor stood up. You know, when we begin to talk to Nigerians, we should let the Nigerians know there are process. Things are not just done like that. We shouldn't speak like the people that can just say anything, you know. You have to speak by the process. What are the things that will be done? Let me even start with where he said they went to submit budget. I think we've talked about that. Do you know the process of submitting a budget? In this country, the law, what does the law provide in going to submit a budget to assembly? How How does...
Was a notice served on the assembly?
Was a notice sent? What, did you write them to say we're coming to... I told you that, naturally speaking, they will read the letter of the president on the floor of the house to say that, the governor, to say that the governor is going to present his or her budget so date and date. And at that point, the speaker will go and welcome the governor into the chambers. Do you know whether they were sitting or not? He just went to, this fisherman attitude of just going to a place where you want to go and buy fish, it just happened into somebody and you think that's the way to...
I was just passing by, I said to stop.
I was just passing by, I just said to, like you said, I had an uncle that, I didn't know that, if you go to visit him and he didn't tell me that you came to visit me, so you have to go. That's the kind of mentality we think because he's governor, he will just, and all he has said is, and the governor didn't recognize them. And the governor didn't recognize, and they say this before Nigeria. So it means that... And
at the same time saying that the assembly they have not been fulfilling their functions.
No, I'm coming to that. He said that the governor didn't
recognize the assembly.
I laugh. Now, excuse me, so the assembly is the one that the governor recognized? The assembly of Nigeria is the one the president recognized? So if the president says Chizi Yomasla is the senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, becomes senator. If you said that Okojobo was legal and that the governor, you are already telling us that the governor has also faulted in the constitution by submitting what he called budget to that, what the court called a forum. They are not assembly.
Forum of Friends.
Forum of Friends that he captured, took them to government house, and they stayed in his parlor, legislating and asking them. And then he also wants this assembly to go to government house and sit with him. And we're talking about separation of power. And people are looking at it. I can tell you that let me leave with all of those their bias and sentiment. Let me come to where what the
two
lawmakers did. Do you know they have told me that Fubara paid the two lawmakers money? Yes, they said here.
When did they say that?
Let me tell you how he said it. They said, they were blaming Fubara that all of this why. For almost 3 years,
he couldn't get some lawmakers.
So Fubara had not taken the 600 billion to get two lawmakers. That's what he said. And luckily, these two lawmakers, that's what he told me. And I'm going to write the assembly to include that. Now, these two lawmakers, interestingly, if you look at what, I don't want to go back to that elder's advice, and what even they're saying. It's like asking somebody, when you slap somebody or you feel somebody has offended another person, and so you come back and say, okay, please, sorry, don't do anything to him, even though he didn't do anything to you. What's that? What kind of apology is that? What kind of appeal is that? You are telling somebody, is that an appeal? You have to accept your sin. Even when they want to ask somebody when they want to force us to give our life to the God they think they are worshiping, they will tell us to first confess our sin.
Accept that you have sinned.
Accept that I have sinned against you. Then they say, please forgive me. But this one, they said, no. The guy didn't. Now, look at the contradiction from the elders that I heard. A contradictory statement.
Go ahead.
That's why elders, you see, you need. I keep talking about this Pope that talked about pariah drinking, it instigates the mind. When you drink shallowly, when you don't understand, you see, it's better for somebody to drink into stupor than you drink, you're not drunk, you're just dealing, you think you are okay. That's the kind of people that fall into gutter. Because if you drink into stupor, you sleep. That's how it is with knowledge. If you don't understand it, elders needs to be defined on what we call elders. If it's age, me, I'm getting to an elder, I'm an elder. But Larisha, you're not there, don't worry. But what I mean by, if it's age, I'm also an elder. If it's by experience, I'm an elder. I've been in this whole politics for 30 years. I'm an elder in politics. We need to redefine what an elder is. The elders came, unlike these persons, even if they were paid like they told us. These elders came and said, please, we are pleading to the House of Assembly to stop the impeachment process. It's unconstitutional. Excuse me. You're asking them, if it's unconstitutional, then go to court and stop them. If what they are doing is unconstitutional.
There is a provision in the Constitution that you cannot stop an impeachment process through the courts.
So
their hands are tied. You can't go to court and stop impeachment process.
When something is obviously unconstitutional, when something is obviously...
You can challenge it through the courts.
You can begin to challenge it. For instance, you say, when you come, because they are legislators, and you come and say, Sim is no longer governor when there's no impeachment and nothing.
You can challenge it.
You can challenge it. You have come to say, please stop the impeachment. I am begging you to stop the impeachment. You now come back to say it is unconstitutional. Now, but look at what this young man did. This young man came out and said, my people, we know that there are infractions in the law. Yes. We know that, see, this statement alone shows us that even them are convinced
they know they can't defend the governor.
They can't defend the governor.
But
they're only saying compensate, I mean, what's it called? Justice with mercy.
Temper
justice with mercy. You know what temper justice means? We know it's justified.
And punishments.
Yes, please, can you be lenient? So I think I'm also I'm with them on that. I want the assembly not to seize his salary after impeachment. That's the kind of, because it's temper justice, not like, but that he should be impeached. Yes. You remember that before this impeachment, I called for the impeachment. You remember? I called for the impeachment. I've been calling for the impeachment. I've been calling for the impeachment. I told them that, look, the problem we have is when people come, imagine somebody comes to your house and then they said, we met somebody yesterday, they caught his child, and it was obvious. The guy went and broke into somebody's house, right? Mm-hmm. And then they brought the person, and you're defending your child. The question I ask is, did he do it? The question people should be asking is, all of those things laid down, did Fubara commit it? Why are we saying? So we're saying that as long as it's Fubara, whether he misused our money or not, they should be investigating what those people are saying. And say, please, can we take it to the other side? Can we investigate what those people are saying? And look at them. Fubara said, I don't recognize the person, so we can do anything. Fubara said this. Fubara said, by the Supreme Court judgment, Fubara can be impeached by the Supreme Court judgment only, without another thing. Fubara can be impeached by the Supreme Court judgment alone. When people talk about, are you saying, okay, let me even come here. Each time they talk about one man, these people are going to one man, these people are going to one man. I ask a question. I hope you know Fubara by age is their mate. Do you know that? Mm-hmm. Do you also know that so 80% of them were in politics before Fubara? So they're more experienced politically. So if Fubara was picked by the same man, who they also said picked them, if Fubara can now begin to say disagree with the same man, doesn't these people also have right to disagree? They do. They can also be independent and say we're going to fight Fubara one-on-one. If they are going to ask, if elders are coming up to ask for, for peace, they should say, please, let's see how we can look at this in different ways.
All right.
Let's see how we can bring these people together. But an elder that is coming to ask for peace already has taken side to say, no, this man didn't do this. Did you investigate it? Did you know that an 80 billion naira contract awarded from ONE to Elele was not in the budget of 2025? Do you understand that? And do you know that if you award a contract that is not in the budget, it means the road is illegal? It doesn't matter who benefits from it. It means that you stole the money. It means you can go to prison for it. It means that the contractor can go to prison for it. I don't understand legal backing. And he said this assembly has not called for him to come and put in supplementary budget, so that in that supplementary budget they can put in this phase. Okay, it may not have been captured because the Solad who was there, even though he was governor, he was not from here. He may not know those things. These things were not captured there. Can't we put it in there so that we can do? What's wrong with that? What is wrong? And somebody came.
That was giving the governor a soft landing.
Somebody said yesterday, he was talking on one of your sister stations, of course, radio station. He was telling me, Cheesy, the lawmakers wanted constituency project. I said, constituency project is legal. You said we went there to represent us, and they want a constituency project that will come to us. So why is that illegal? And again, if you allow the constituency project to come into the budget they want you to bring in, you are the executor of those projects. So at the point that it is passed, you can also stop the execution. Do you know that? I mean, you can delay it or say, okay, no, these things, we'll find out that these things cannot be. It is also you who will award the contract. It is also you can decide to give the contract to anybody in that constituency. So what's wrong with that? If that is the case. People are not looking at this. People are not saying that, oh, you know what people do? They gave us 100,000 naira, all the civil servants. 45,000 civil servants. They gave them 100,000 naira. You know, it's like what some people used to do When you begin to see people bill you 50 naira, when we were in school, they were billing us 20 naira, you know, in certain tax. And I said, at the 20 naira, it was almost about 20,000 then. You know that the person is stealing big money because it's 20 naira. You don't know.
That the civil service, when you do the maths, it should be over 5 billion. I think we've done the maths.
Yes, yeah, over 5 billion. And that they do not know that the governor does not have that approved, that his approving limit is far below that. The governor cannot do that. That thing was not captured in the budget. Just because our civil servants are taking it, it makes it right. That's how we see a young girl or a young boy in our house. And then you see, I don't know whether you've seen all these young men around 17, 18, they buy car. And you know, we clap for them. We don't want to ask them, how is the car? How did you buy the car? What happened? Because the car is coming into us. I have a pastor, again, who rejected being His Royal Highness because it was fetish. And then accepted going into a house that a Yahoo boy, his boy, got from a fraudulent act, and then went in there and then bought him vehicle, and he started driving. So I went to him. I said, Pastor, you didn't accept His Royal Highness, but you accepted money from Yahoo. I said, so you can do anything and pay tithe. You can do anything. This is here. You can do anything and bring tithe.
Because there is a pastor.
Because it's a pastor. You can kill and just bring, as long as you bring tithe, that's good. So if you steal money and give to our people and share it, that is good. I am sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right.
Assembly. Those people didn't compromise.
Okay.
No. Those two people didn't compromise. I know them personally.
They said that the two taking a different position now means that the governor has started doing something right. Probably his lobbying is working, and he said that it is a major sign of destruction to come.
Yes, there's a major sign of destruction to come now.
Yes.
You are only putting it mildly. I have told you what he said, that the governor is giving them money to come out. That's what he said, which is also an infraction in law. But I'm just saying this, that these young men, if you look at the letters of their appeal, you will understand that, quote unquote, they are more reasonable than any appeal I've seen. Say, please, let's tamper justice with mercy. We know that the governor did that. We can, because there's also political arrangement to these things, which must not be impeachment.
And for you're saying everything must not be impeachment. But however, you said that for you, the governor should be impeached, but the mercy that should be extended to the governor is that his salaries should not be withdrawn.
I'm only interpreting what they said. I'm not saying my position.
Okay.
I'm interpreting the language of their appeal.
All right.
That these people should tamper justice with mercy. But Chizie Omasila is now further defining the mercy to be that while he is impeached, he should be paid his gratuity and go. That's why I just asked. All right. But not that he shouldn't be impeached. Because you see, if you leave him, if you say he shouldn't be impeached, other people will come back because we are too used to this kind of things.
All right.
The sole administratorship that was at the first time in the life of River State that came, this is the second time actually. What's it called? Abbas was the second sole administrator that came to River State since River State started. The first Sim Fubara was the first sole administrator. Then Abbas came as sole administrator second. That Sim is coming as third sole administrator.
All right. You want to?
Yes. Let me just clear some issues.
Go ahead.
I like doing an analysis based on principles, and it is only a dead man that you come to say he said so, and whereas he didn't say, and he cannot challenge that. You know, some of the things that were assumed by both the host and my,
you know, just to get
my co-discussant, okay. You know,
all
that
right.
they said, I have nothing to do with River State money. I earn my money legitimately, and the River State House of the 10th Assembly can investigate that. So, but coming to the reality, I kept on saying, even though we try as much as possible to remove emotions and sentiment from River State political crisis, you find out that oftentimes you just plunge into it. But looking at the crisis as it is progressively moving now, you see that Mr. Governor have done a lot to see that this crisis come to an end. Let me start with what happened towards the end of 2025. You know, the governor wanted to pass the budget, 2025 budget, which they before the assembly locked him out and initiated the impeachment process, and the suspension and all that came. On returning back, immediately the assembly sat what they demanded that the governor should come and pass, repass the budget to them. Whereas the question was, has the governor actually sat down to get some supplementary things to add to that budget that you are requesting him to come and pass? Or should he come and pass the budget to you that have been passed by the National Assembly and assented into law by Mr. President? Should the governor come and do that? Are you wooing him into committing crime so that you have a reason to nail him or something of such? But, however, that didn't happen. We saw the governor from time to time exhibiting attitudes that suggest peace. He said before the end of 2025 that as the completion of the House of Assembly complex was coming towards December, that he will present 2026 budget to the Assembly there. And you know that before that period, the Assembly went on recess. They have their right to go on recess. And they had promised to resume on January 28th. But nobody can explain. I know a lot of people have reasons for this, but to me, it was a surprise for me to hear. In fact, I saw it on social media. Where the assembly was basking, reading all manner of infringements to the constitution by the actions of the governor and all that. Spendings without appropriation, neglect to the assembly, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you people promised that you'll be coming back on 28th, and perhaps the governor could be waiting for 28th to pass. You recall that just in December or thereabout, the executive came up with a announcement that the budget had been concluded on. Now waiting presentation to the assembly.
That wasn't the announcement.
Yeah, that wasn't the announcement.
Don't misconstrue the announcement.
Allow me to come.
But don't twist issues.
No,
that wasn't the announcement.
I said that the executive.
You know why I have to say this? Because you called me out.
Hold on.
So in calling me out,
calm down. Hold on.
In calling me out, you will present facts because I will strengthen every crooked comment here.
I know how you have teamed up with Chizzy to deal with me, but no problem.
The reverse psychology will not work. I hope you know.
When I die,
but go ahead.
You will lack person that will sit on my seat.
You will not die.
So what I was saying was that the executive have come up that with the point that they have finished with the budget. Now waiting for 28. Now the next thing was on 8th. We saw the assembly coming up. The governor is doing this. The governor is doing this. Yes, it is true that if some of the projects that the governor is carrying maybe are not covered by the budget of a bus, that could be something that they will call themselves, sit in a room and discuss these things. Mr. Governor, this budget here, this contract here, this thing here, they are not covered. So what are we doing? Please add it to the budget and bring it for us to pass a supplementary budget on that. But while we were waiting for them to come on 28th, they landed on 8th. And the next thing was to come up, nothing like, we have resumed sitting and things like that. Now legislative activities has resumed. And now the governor will go back and rearrange himself and come up. But instead, it shows that they are out for war. Then, conclusively, on this matter, when I said that the Omuma and Degema had taken up this step, and for the fact that that minor sign has appeared, whoever is blowing the fire should take precaution. But what the two lawmakers have said, I am still standing with them. Whether it is based on calls from elders and leaders, or it was called from their constituencies, let the assembly exercise restraint. Yes, you might be sure that if you impeach him, he will go and things like that. But please, for the interest of Rivers people, I'm joining these two lawmakers to plead with the assembly. Please exercise restraint. Right. Come back home. Let there be peace. Settle with Mr. Governor. When you take 1, 2, 3 steps towards peace and the governor is not responding, Nze will still sit here and lash the governor. I mean that, and I will do
it. You will still sit here and lash the governor. Let me start by reminding you of a comment you made in 2025, because now I'm forced to remind you of that comment. You said here, while seated on this chair, exactly in this position, by this time actually, you said that if the law, or if a court ruling and judgment, that if the law does not align with the wishes of the masses, the law must be set aside. I repeat that because I am constrained. You know, you could have just faced things, but you felt the need to rope me into it and paint me like I am aligning with Cheesy, right? You would have just gone for Cheesy, but somehow you had to bring Laurentia in. And having brought me into this, like I always say, this is the table of truth. Your opinion is your opinion, but when your opinion is presented in a way that, you know, the facts may be misconstrued. It's a fact, but may not be the truth. So you have laid your facts. Now I am going to lay the truth on the table. And everything I say here can be investigated, right? First of all, the assembly, let's just start from the Constitution. The Constitution granted the assembly the right to impeach a governor and the deputy governor as well. Now, the Constitution gave them the right on the grounds of gross misconduct. And you know the interesting thing about that gross misconduct is the Constitution says that gross misconduct is what the Assembly calls gross misconduct. So which means that the governor can wake up in the morning and laugh, and the Assembly will say this laughter is gross misconduct, and they will impeach the governor. And there is nothing anybody can do about it because they have interpreted that laughter as gross misconduct. In impeachment proceedings with regards to gross misconduct, the Constitution gave the Assembly an endless possibility they can take advantage of. Now, in this case of Rivers State, there is a Supreme Court judgment, there is an appeal court judgment indicting the governor. There is a Supreme Court judgment indicting the governor. The governor had no budget in 2024. The governor had no budget in 2025. And now, cases of extrajudicial spending has come up. In fact, when this, the Christmas bonuses started, on this show, I said it on the show. I said it from 28. I was saying it every day on my program till that impeachment proceedings started. I said it that the emergency rule does not wash away the sin of impeachment. This is my quote. And I am still saying the same thing. And I said that the danger is because there is a Supreme Court judgment indicting the governor. And everybody here in Rivers State, no matter how much you want to paint this thing to be sentimental, the fact remains that there are gross misconduct on the side of the governor. And in pushing for political resolution, you do not beat a crying child in pushing for political resolution. On this show, I had advised the governor, employ an essay to legislative matters. Pay lobbyists to lobby for you since you feel too big to go to these people and work it out with them. Probably the governor is having a hard time because he had said openly on national television that they are children that he fed and paid their children's school fees. He has said a lot of derogatory things about them. And probably his ego as a governor, he's checking on how to swallow his words and go back to them cap in hand. But he has no choice but to do that. That's a fact. Because there is a noose around his neck. But when people take, and let me also make it clear here, that the State Executive Council of Rivers State at no point came out to tell us that they have proposed a certain amount. They didn't say that. There was a press conference to that effect. Professor Peter Mide, I think on the 2nd of January, when they had it, the 2nd or 3rd of January, when they had that State Executive Council meeting, you know, it was televised, and Professor Peter Mide actually spoke on that. And I am quoting him. He said that the State Executive Council has approved, underscore the word, approved a budget of 1.8 trillion. And they called it budget of renewed hope and development or something of that nature. But that was what they said. I am quoting him. And under the law, the State Executive Council does not have the right to approve a budget of the state. The State Executive Council doesn't have the right. They can propose the budget. The people saddled with the responsibility of approving a budget is the State Assembly. And until it is approved, it is an appropriation bill. When it is approved, it becomes a law. Until it's approved, it is a spending plan. When it is approved, it becomes a law. So one would now say, on what basis, what is the locus standi? Who gave the State Executive Council of Rivers State the imprimatur of authority to speak on a televised program and actually did a press conference to that effect and said that they have approved a budget to the tune of 1.8 trillion. So when you say all these things, it is the right of the State Executive Council, the commissions, to present their budget, their spending plan for the year, and then harmonize it and present to the Rivers State House of Assembly in the case of Rivers State. But for them to now openly say they are approving it, and then suddenly the Rivers State House of Assembly comes back from the recess again, they have the right to resume earlier than expected.
Yes.
It is their right. You cannot tell them how to resume. They have decided to resume. Are they not representing you now? They decided to resume earlier to represent you, and you have a problem with that. But then,
let me come in.
no, Cheesy. No, wait, Cheesy will have to speak first.
Now, first,
before you
let me.
Go ahead, Cheesy.
Firstly, they didn't just resume on their own. They had an announcement by State Executive Committee that said they have approved the budget. That became an emergency. Before there is anarchy, they came back to look at what of that. I want to ask a question. Have you ever heard before now? I'm not talking about approval. Have you heard a proposal, the amount proposed by government coming from the governor, if not the assembly? Now, this is how you hear about the budget. Is when the speaker, when they submit the budget to the National Assembly, it is at that point they will say the executive has submitted a proposed budget of so amount. Even when it's a proposal, not even approval. Even the proposal, they are not supposed to announce it. It will be announced through the assembly. I'm not talking about approval, I'm talking about even proposal. Because it is seen that until then, it's still in the process. Part of the process is the submission. It is at that submission that the speaker announces it, that the executive has submitted a budget proposal of so for the approval of the assembly. Even the proposal, not talking about even the approval. This only happened during the military. That's why I said this is the third military government. Even the Solar didn't do that. I want to say that. I also want to, correct one impression. He said, okay, they can put it in 2026 budget. No, it's not possible. It has to be a supplementary. It has to be a supplementary budget of 2025. And by this month, it's all over. There's nothing like 2025. It means that Rivers State didn't have a budget of 2024. We didn't have 2025. And now we're looking at 2026. And the assembly was not calling for 2026 budget because they still understand that the government still has a window to present it. All they've been calling is the budget of the 2025. Assuming without conceding that what he said they were calling was actually the one passed by the National Assembly because National Assembly was standing for them. See, the Assembly can recall a budget and repass it. They can recall a budget. I said, maybe this budget that was passed didn't capture certain aspects of ours or certain aspects of our people. So let us call back. And they are calling the governor to bring back that budget. Of course, all of these things that they are talking about would have been captured in those budgets. Because whether you like it or yes, that budget was a quick fix. But you need to make it more like ours. People are not looking at that. You said that the governor has been, his body language and all of that has been tilting towards peace. He just talks about the governor calling their children. People who were in politics before them, just because a governor that was appointed, was employed in 2025, was jumped to become Accountant General. From 2003, by 2003, I've been like 7 years old in civil service. And that is when he came into civil service and then became Accountant General. He's used to that jumping. And now he's calling those students, those people who have been in the assembly, even from that 2003 till now, he's calling their children. Just last Sunday, he said, those barking dog. That's somebody who wants peace. Those barking dog. And we're looking at it. Nobody is saying, Governor, the language is not good. This one, what are they calling? If they had presented, he has presented his supplementary budget. If he has presented his cabinet, and then the assembly is saying, no, this one, all of us begin to look, what is the assembly looking for? You have not even done the right thing. You want God to pay disobedient. Your obedience is not yet full. You want God to pay disobedient. Let the man tell us that he knows peace or he knows law. In fact, if there was anybody who would be careful, would have been Fubara. Because I tell people that each time we look at this, we say, okay, has this governor not gone, you know? If you are at peace with assembly, the Senate president did say that. He said when he was governor, he said even if he was traveling, he would look at the speaker's face. How is his face? He will call him, oh, wake up, let's eat, let's just eat. Because he understands they are important. Like he talks about, he knows how to relate with them. He said, boy, come. That's the person. So if you are in good time with them, I have said it here and over. You can do anything. I've said, you know that I know that. That in my house, let me say it again, that each time I'm quarreling with my wife, the house will become too expensive. So I have known how not to quarrel with her, so that even 5,000 can give us a pot of soup. But if you are quarreling with her, she would at least Maggi, a cube of Maggi will be 5,000. The other one will be this. Because there is quarrel, there's an issue. But if you're not, anything can go. So what I am saying is that the Constitution has given, apart from what the Assembly has laid out, the Constitution has said gross misconduct. And the Constitution has given them the right to define what a gross misconduct is. So at least by now, what I would have said is, it is now that Fubara should be going legal. What I mean by legal is doing the right thing. He went to Okop Jumbo to submit a budget, a forum. And they submitted a budget and started sharing the money. In 2025, 24, all the River State budget was eaten by Sim Fubara because the court said so. 2025, these people want to save him again. He has started. So it means that since Fubara came, we have not had a legal document called budget. How bad? Are you saying we should just waive it? Now you're talking about two lawmakers defending. Assuming without considering that they are 32. Assuming that they are 32. What is it to top majority of 32 is 22. So there are still 25 remaining there.
It's still majority.
Now, they don't have one. One is late. Edison resigned. So if you look at this, it's about 20 they need to remove him. The problem I'm saying is that at the end of this month, I will go to my constituency and call Lemchi, please, to come back because you have not done the needful by removing Fubara. If Fubara stays in February, you will be removed as assembly.
So you're now threatening Prince Lemchi of Ikore constituency
yes,
on national television.
Yes.
You're telling Prince Lemchi if Fubara is not impeached by February.
Let me tell you
Did you say this month, end of February?
Before, I said by the end of the month, then February will be doing his record, his own record.
Of Prince Lemchi?
Yes, I'm calling, it's not Prince Lemchi, he's presenting me now. I said Prince Lemchi, if Fubara is not removed by the end of January, by February we will be calling for a record because he didn't represent us well.
Right.
Let me tell you why those things is needful. It's not like I hate Fubara. Why would I hate Fubara? He's my governor, right? You see, if we don't, what is happening in River State is opening our eyes to who we should elect and who we shouldn't elect, what we're going to do. Even Wike knows that he can no longer come back to say, hey, you, go and vote for this person. No, now we cannot do that because he has supported us now. Is it not Fubara that he brought? He's teaching all of us something. Everybody, Fubara has made all of us grow. Now they can challenge, you can tell, this one will not happen. In fact, on 28th of, the same 28th you were talking here, 28th of December, we stood up and told you can be saying you will bring governor. You cannot bring governor. It's a movement. We will decide who we will work for as governor.
All right.
Nobody can do that again.
Very well.
And to have to come with it also, maybe me.
Thank you very much.
Very quickly.
As the Wike movement is preparing to nominate Chizinyo Masila as the next governor.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. That's what I want.
We keep the watch. But there's something you mentioned here. I said this, that when law stands in opposite conflict with the people, the law had to step aside. I repeat it again. Why am I saying this? At my age, there is no shrine they will present me as sacrifice that will reject, except on the basis that I am bigger than them, because I am a deity myself.
They will reject it because you are useless. You have had children. You have done. There is nothing they need to do.
So, however, coming to the reality, when the 2024 budget came up, there was litigation ongoing. So what was known by the River State governor was this four.
Now, hold on, very quickly, you will continue. But at this point, I need to bring up something very, very important, and that is from the Constitution. The Constitution says, when it comes to constituting the state assemblies, it said it will not be above 40 seats or 40 constituents, which is obtainable in Kano State. And it will not be less than 20. 20, that's what the Constitution says. So which means that the least any state in Nigeria can have, the minimum members of a state that will constitute a state house of assembly will be 20. Now, if that is the case, make it make sense to me, because I think this conversation, we've had this conversation and we've gone past it, right? The more you keep saying things like this, genuinely, the more you are justifying why the governor is being impeached by River State House of Assembly. The more you are indicting a man you're fighting so hard to defend. The Constitution says that the minimum membership or the minimum number of members of a state house of assembly will be 20. In that case, how then is the governor presenting a budget to 3-man forum of friends? That is, they are short of 17. Now let's look at it on the flip side. If the Constitution says that the minimum will be 20 members that will make up a state house of assembly, however, in presenting a budget, the people that must approve that budget must be 2/3 majority. 2/3 majority. You understand? So, which means 2/3 of 20 divided into 3, I'm not good at mathematics, will give you around, let's say, 7 or thereabout. Yes, 7, because 7, 2/3. No, so 1/3 cannot pass a budget, because budget is a major.
2/3 should be about 12, 13. You're talking about.
Very well. 2/3 is 12. Thank you very much for that. 13. Now, if 2/3 is 12, justify less than 1/3.
Less than 1/3.
Less than 1/3. Passing a budget of an entire state into law. Justify how 3 people representing 3 constituencies will take a decision for the entire constituencies of River State. Make it make sense to me.
Right, thank you.
Right? So when you are, and if this is why you are still reiterating that when the law is opposite the decision of the masses, this is not the decision of the masses. This is the law. The law is the law. I'm actually bringing this to light because, you know, we are opinion molders. As you're seated here, you're an opinion molder. And when you say these things on air, you're shaping opinion, you're shaping mindset, and people will run with what is unconstitutional. And for me, that's a problem.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
I am happy, and I'm also appealing for the help of Nigerians to save me from the persecution. Because this direct hit you are giving to me, I believe that God will help me. I'm trusting in God, just like Fubara is trusting in God. You are regularly distorting my line of thought. Each time I want to make a point, you distort it. But I understand.
Apologies for that, but I needed to correct that because you keep repeating it.
That apology will be based on what the Rivers Assembly will do. Yes.
I have no influence over the River State House.
Then you have to lobby because you are advising the government. I am not the government. So, however, looking at the point I was making,
yes, go ahead.
I know that in as much as the Constitution is standing on this, the number of legislators that removed Ayo Fayose were not up to the 2/3 majority as stipulated by law and things like that. And in Rivers State, we've had at some point where the former governor ran with assembly not up to 2/3 in the majority of the number stipulated for Rivers State. And in Enugu State too, we've had a situation where 6 men ran the assembly for about 3 years or thereabouts.
Why wasn't it challenged?
And that's a question that is left for an answer. So now coming to this reality, I keep on saying that even if I stand before justices of the Supreme Court, I'll still maintain my ground. That so long as the Supreme Court, the apex body, have not given a command or a statement on this, the governor still reserves the right to run based on what transpired. So leaving that aside, coming to this very matter, 2026, I am strongly standing with the governor on this point, except some of the statements that are coming up, both from him and from the assembly members. This war of words, mature men don't use words carelessly. That is that. Coming to talk about dogs or whatsoever is completely immaterial. You can still make your point without calling names.
Right.
And remember that when a statement is released, people go home, because once you make it a blanket statement, people go home to unravel it. And whatever choice they make in unraveling, they can unravel it to be a statement to the cats, to the dogs, to the rat, or whichever. So I want to call the governor to restrain from such statements. It doesn't make sense at all.
Right.
But on following the legal rules, let those who are too close to the governor in legal matters give interpretation to some actions even before they happen, so that we won't have these issues. So governors should be able to exercise restraint in some of the things that our assembly members are talking about. Like we are talking about this, like Chiz was saying, if at the end of January he was not impeached. There is something I expect the governor to do. If the impeachment process, notice have been served to him, as he gets it and go through, 2 things are there. Because you didn't come to us on Wednesday, we want to impeach you. Because you awarded so contract, we want without appropriation, we want to impeach you. Because you appointed so persons to office without us approving, we want to impeach you. Now it is left for the governor, after reading these notices, to either swallow his pride, go, though not cap in hand anywhere. If either he appoints somebody who will liaise between him and the assembly, they will go back, please, this, I didn't do this. But this one you captured here, I did. This one you captured, I did. I will make amendment to it. And once these things are reached, then I know there are also, underneath issues that are there. When you go and you are, from making peace, there's something I don't like speaking openly. When you have two opposite sex quarreling who have been friendly, that quarrel, sometimes when you call them to go and reconcile, you did this, in the process of reconciliation, you see what you think should not happen happening again.
They are not born again.
So hold on. That is what I think that should happen in this River State governor and the assembly matter. So why he go to reconcile the issues of impeachment proceedings? Let them also settle other things. and do some other things that they're supposed to do that happens between two partners who are reconciling. That is my call. We need peace in this state, for God's sake.
All right, very well. Chizzy, very quickly as we move on to the next story.
I like to align you with him 100%.
On this one.
When impeachment, it is because you are holding back yours. All he needs to do is, whether you like it or yes, even though the impeachment process is ongoing, he is still governor until he's been impeached. Is that correct? So even if you rise the assembly now for a visit and the assembly says no, some of us will begin to say why? Why is he no? Because he's the governor. If he follows the process and begin to go there, and like he said, engage people, not those who will come and tell the governor what you are doing is right or all of that. Whether you like it or yes, there are the ones that assembly may have said that he didn't commit. He has a right to answer for himself. He has the right to say, I'm not even answering officially. This is what you, please come, let's talk about this thing. And all these things will go. And the tension will calm down. And Rivers State will now begin to concentrate in our politics. This is a political year. And the political year, election has started. Election includes removing him, bringing another person, because if he's not removed, I will not be. So anything, that's the election.
All right.
So, but right now, some of us are even ready to go talk to Larisha. You know that by the grace of God, 90% of those assembly members, I know them one-on-one. We can go and say, no, you can't continue like that because this thing is giving us certain, we don't want us to be on spotlight. Let's bring it down. But when you stay there and begin to get people who, all they do is, Governor, don't worry, give us this money, we're going to give it to one elders. Those elders were the elders that went after they came back from the president. And they said, as anything happened to Fubara, we're going to do this. When they declared the state of emergency, the elders became children.
Nobody spoke.
They didn't speak again. Now those elders have resurfaced again. Elders.
All right.
Elders indeed.